to keep it that way?
Martin, this is really, I mean, this gets very, very bizarre because at some level, it's not a bad thing for Doug Ford if Justin Trudeau wins. You know, running against the feds is a great foil, and you can do it a lot better, obviously, when the other party's in power right there. Have you bought into this theory, though? And you're right, that was a hot take around Queen's Park for a long time last year, that somehow Doug Ford wants to be Prime Minister of Canada, and he's hoping Scheer loses so that Scheer will be out and he can go for that. You buying that?
I like Scott Reed very much. I love what he writes, and I think he was right a year ago. And we wrote about that a year ago. And it started when Doug Ford went to a federal conservative convention in Nova Scotia, and people were asking Andrew Scheer to take pictures of them with Doug Ford. Doug Scheer was relegated to the anonymous photographer, and Doug Ford was the big celebrity. That was then, this is now. And it's more obvious than ever that Doug Ford not only doesn't speak French, he doesn't understand Francophones. He didn't know until about a year ago that there were Francophones in Ontario.
He's basically given up on his promise to learn French.
Yeah,
as well.
he has antagonized Quebecers by virtue of sacrificing some linguistic rights in Ontario. So I think those federal ambitions, that fantasy, that dream has gone crashing down. Does he want to have an antagonistic government, as you suggest, in Ottawa? Absolutely. I think every premier understands that it is better for them to have someone to punch up against as opposed to someone who might be an albatross down the road. But I think Allison's point is a good one. It's crazy, it's cuckoo pops that he has said, I will respect democracy. Voters have a chance. He said this many times, by the way, that voters will have a chance to vote on the carbon tax plan. Well, actually, they did in the last federal election when Trudeau got a mandate for a carbon tax. But then, a few days later, they launched this appeal to the Supreme Court, and the minister said, we need to use everything, every tool in our toolbox, like by any means necessary. I mean, why? You just said you were going to respect democracy.